And I know it's an album for other people at this point, but first and foremost, it was just therapy for me. So I think I'm just happy that it's finally out there. It is kind of interesting though, because it's like years ago, right? So it's like, you know, a different chapter of my life, and I'm in a different place now. It's interesting. Like, I'm like, oh, she was sad.
What was it like writing these songs?
You know, well, therapeutic for lack of a better word, but also like a lot of it is for artists, like, and writers. Like, it's like, I figured this is probably the same thing for painters, sculptors, any kind of artist. Like, it's like, you don't even know what's going to happen. You just need to get something out. You're writing, you have no idea. It's just like, it's almost like an out of body experience. And you're just you're almost figuring out how you're feeling and what you should do. And you know, you're playing every angle, and have I tried enough? Have I done that? Like, you know, you're playing, you know, every possible path, you know, out in your head. So you know, it's very therapeutic, but it's also hard, you know, because it's my life. You know, I'm not just like writing and pretending like making up a story and then we're writing a song. You know, I think that's the hardest part, is when it's reality. So I felt like it's such a personal album that it deserved a little bit of story and background. I just didn't want people to hear one song and go, that's what happened. It's like, no, it's like a roller coaster of different emotions. And performing it live, like, I thought, because I'd written it so long ago, I thought it was going to be easier. And I did like 2 rehearsal nights, like back to back, and had no problems. And then I get out there and I started the show a cappella and no sound came out. Like, I was like, oh, this is like, I think I went back into, because a lot of us do, like, as artists, you go back into that moment so you can be a vessel for the message, right? So that was really hard. But yeah, it's just a really emotional record.
Was it when, like, whenever you were feeling an emotion, you would jot something
Well,
down?
it was like, I mean, to be just frank, you know, I was working, and then you know, after work, there would be times I'd fly my kids, like, you know, to my ex, and then I'd have to fly back and then wake back up hours later for work again. And it was just I was exhausted physically, like mentally, emotionally. It was very hard. And so on those flights back, when I'm by myself, those were the really hard moments. And that's when a lot of the songs were written, because, you know, there's just so much, you know, that was going on. And I was just processing so much. And honestly, a lot of the songs were written in those moments on the way back. I should have named the album On the Way Back.
A Red Flag Collector. Tell me about putting that one together.
Well, I was really pissed off, you know, and I just, you know, things get said, and you hear about this, like in divorce or in you know, situation, things go bad, and it's just like, it's just the craziest thing. You can't even, it's like not real, like things that get said. And, you know, I was angry, but the foundation of that is hurt, you know? And, yeah, I just got it out, didn't I? I really said what I wanted to. And that's what that song is.
I love it. Let's talk about Rock Hudson, naming the song that and what it's about.
So Rock Hudson was really about, like, that's my movie crush. That's like my favorite go-to guy, like, in movies. And it has been since I was like younger. And it's more or less like, I used it as like a metaphor of, I really did feel like I never thought the kind of love I experienced in the first part of my relationship. And, you know, even throughout, like, I never knew I could open up like that or love like that. I just didn't know that was possible, you know, until it happens. And that's the first time I've ever been in love as well. So, it was just a really beautiful thing. It was one of those things where it's like, you know, it just, you know, everything glitters isn't gold kind of thing. So it wasn't exactly what everyone thought. And I think the thing that's upsetting is whenever it happens, people are like, oh, I never saw it coming. And I'm like, why would you have seen it coming? Like, why would we have made that obvious? Like nobody wants to be like, hey, we're struggling. Like, you know, like, pray for me. Like, it's like, you know, nobody wants to talk about that when you're trying to heal something, you know, wounds, or you're trying to fix something. And, you know, so it's just like, everything isn't always as it appears.
And the piece by piece reference in that song, tell me about that.
Well, to be honest, like, you know, when I wrote Piece by Piece, it was a very hopeful song. You know, I wasn't able to say everything at the time, but like some of the things that I think a lot of that song is about what I desired and what I hoped and what I saw, you know, in someone. And you know, it turns out I might not be singing that song again. But it turns out that, I maybe did marry into what I didn't want to do in the first place. So it's okay. Now it wasn't for a couple years, but I think that's the thing about seeing red flags and seeing things that aren't healthy and recognizing that and not holding on to hope and potential all the time in a relationship. So just a lot of lessons learned, which is, I guess, all you can hope for, like getting, that it wasn't all for naught,
And I mean, I think what I love about the album is it's, even though obviously there's some sad topics and it's emotional, it are like this hopefulness. And I wondered, is also a goal of this for like other people who are going through either even a relationship breakup or whatever kind of like hard time, that this can be something that can be,
100%
help them?
Yeah, just connecting to it and realizing, like, I think the worst part is just feeling alone, and it's not just because I'm in the public eye and like nobody knows what I'm going through. It's not that. Everybody, it doesn't matter what relationship you are, it's that relationship. So nobody really knows the ins and outs of that except for the two people in it, right? No one will ever know. So it's very hard going through something like that and separating from this person that you thought you were going to be with for the rest of your life, So, and there's such a ride. It's a roller coaster ride, which is why the sequencing is how it is on the record. Like, it's a ride. It goes back and forth because that's normal. That's a normal thing to feel when, coming out of a relationship, it's not easy. It's not you just wake up one day and you go, I'm done. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that happens over years, and it's something to recognize and to be able to have someone connect to Magic or Lighthouse or Mine or Me, like those songs, and really listen and go, okay, this is how I'm feeling like right now. And like to know that you're not alone in that is incredibly powerful, I think.